Alright guys, I've been putting this off, but I told everybody I'd do it, so here we go. This is going to be on how we do babies for the first 4 weeks, and that's what this is all for. So, we'll talk a little bit later on how, once we take them out of the barn, what happens after that, and what to do when you encounter different crap. This is how we do it. If you want to get on here and start critiquing me, please don't. I don't feel like arguing with nobody about it. I'm just simply putting what works for me. If you have another thing that works, put it in the comments, and heck, I'd like to see it too, because heck, we're all just learning together. All this stuff is stuff that I've learned the hard way. None of this has come from people learning ahead. I've learned the hard way and lost a lot of babies because I didn't know all this. So hopefully it'll help you diagnose different things and not lose a ton before you can save them, and kind of be a little bit proactive on the situation too. So basically, we'll go through the medicines first, and then I'll show you how we move them through the brooders, how we do all of that. Day 1 through 7, LS50. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but it's lincomycin and spectromycin, and then there's a few other things in here I can't even say because I'm not a veterinarian or a pharmacist. I've just raised chickens. We use this the first 7 days. That's all they get to drink. Their first drink is LS50 for 7 days. Then, for 2 weeks, we get, let me see here. All they'll get is this and this in their water. This is nothing but a Mexican brand of Corid. You can get Corid anywhere. Every co-op, PSC, everywhere has it. We use a half a teaspoon to a gallon. I gotta cheat on this. Half a teaspoon to a gallon on the Corid, and a teaspoon of vitamin powder per gallon for 2 weeks. That's all they get, okay? They don't get anything else. So we go a week of LS50, 2 weeks of this. That'll be 3 weeks. That'll get you there. At the end of those 3 weeks, they should be, then we switch to, almost to the bottom there. How I do it, I switch back and forth, but normally these two, and let me go back to this. Where I get my LS50, I get it from Rick Hurst on Facebook. I'll tag you in the comments, or he can comment on here so you can see, but this is where I get it. Rick Hurst is a great guy. Every time I've ever ordered anything, he's right on it. This is where I get this. This is Corid, and this you get that at TSC, no problem. At the 3rd week, at 3 weeks old, I put my babies out at 4 weeks. So that's based on this. Basically a week, if you're gonna put them out at 5 weeks old, start this at 4 weeks old. If you're gonna put them out at 6, you want this the last week before you put them outside. They'll get antibiotic for 5 days, and then they'll get 2 days of Toltrazero. Okay. The 2 main antibiotics that I use, I rotate them back and forth, is this one, which is Enrohem. It's Enrofloxacin, which is the same active ingredient that's in Baycott. This is from Gym Labs. This is Phosphotrim, or whatever, I don't know how to say it. These are the 2 that I use. Honestly, sometimes I use this, sometimes I use this. If I use, you know what I mean, I just bounce back and forth. I try not to stick with the same antibiotic all the time, but normally these 2 are my go-tos for preventative. Okay. We'll run this 7 days before they go outside. They'll get this for 5 days. So that'll put you 2 days with this. This is Toltrazero. It's basically cocky hemp. It's active ingredient Toltrazero. So we'll do 5 days of this. Once we get to this, now coccidiosis is the biggest problem in raising babies. It weakens their immune system. Secondary infections kill them, and kill them quick normally. if you really take the time and learn about coccidiosis and what cures it, there's two types of medicine for it. This is a coccidiostat. A coccidiostat, basically, it blocks different vitamins. I can't even say the damn word of it, in their intestines, the oostes, whatever. This blocks, I think, vitamin D or whatever that they need to form. It's kind of a preventative to me. This I see as a preventative. Toltrazuril is a coccidiocide. When you put this into a chicken, it goes through them and it kills all of the coccidiosis and oost in that system at that time. So you start at ground zero. This right here, if you're raising chickens, you better have it on hand. Because I don't care, I mean, I see guys on Facebook that they don't use this and they don't use that. I'm 100% happy for them, but I can tell you this, I don't know of anybody that's never had problems with coccidiosis. I mean, people say if you use hens, you don't have it. I can tell you this, up until 5-6 years ago, I never owned an incubator. We did everything 100% with hens, and coccidiosis kicked us in the nuts for years. So, back to that being said, I highly, highly, highly recommend that you have Toltrazuril as an active ingredient on your farm, which I use CoxyHem from Gem Labs. There's other ones too that you can actually buy it in the States. Just Toltrazuril from like racehorsemeds.com and shit. But here's the problem, a lot of that is not real water soluble. It's not made to go in water. I don't know how they use it, but I can tell you this. Can you hand me that white bottle up there, Mike? And I'll show it to you. And this is why I switched to this. Now the white one. With this, I mean, you can see it. It basically looks like paint. I mean, it's thick. When you give it to the chickens, it literally coats the whole cup. I mean, it's a pain in the ass to work with. Does it work? Absolutely yes. Okay. But I don't recommend it because you're not going to like it. I'd go with this. But you can get that in the States if you want, or you can get that. All the Gem Labs products I use, Phosphotrim Hem, EnroHem, CoxyHem, FloraHem, this is just another antibiotic. You can rotate. You don't want to use the same antibiotic over and over because let's say your farm, you only use EnroHem for years or whatever, and that strain becomes resistant to it. It doesn't matter that this is the best antibiotic in the world. If what you have is resistant to that strain, it doesn't matter. You might as well put mouthwash in there. That's why, like, I don't know, if you take a chicken to a lab, for instance, it'll give you a susceptibility test. It'll have an S and an R, and they'll run like 8-9 typical antibiotics that are typical on used chickens, and they'll have an S or an R, susceptible or resistant. And that way it'll tell you, hey, the chicken that you brought in, the whatever it had, this is what you can use. Well, that's what, I mean, no matter if you have the best antibiotic in the world, if whatever you're treating is not susceptible to that strain, it's over. It doesn't matter. You might as well put mouthwash or Kool-Aid in there. It doesn't matter. MucoHem, I use this, let's say, I mean, if they're on the range and you get bad weather and they get really, really sick, which it happens. I mean, guys say they never get sick. I'm glad for them, but this video is for the rest of us that do have problems. MucoHem is basically like, it breaks it up, the phlegm or whatever in their lungs or in the nostrils. It loosens that up so that these can work, run through them. This is just another one. This is Tylotrim, it's Tylosin. Like I said, I don't use all these on a regular basis, but I like to have the stuff here in case I need it, because there's nothing worse than you go walk outside and your babies look horrible and there's, you know what I mean, you got to call and you got to order and you're waiting a week to get it and this and that and you're trying to overnight. I don't like doing that. I try to have everything on hand, more than what I need. So, to regroup, we do a week LS50 from Rick Herbst. 2 weeks of this. 5 days of either FloraHem or EnroHem. These are both 5 cc's to a gallon is what I use. This, I use 4 cc's to a gallon. This is CoxyHem. This will clear out the coccidiosis. Basically, when you put them outside, they're 100% clean, ready to go. All right, let's see. On the babies, once we put them outside, I take them to the outside brooder boxes. All they get is this. I run this at 1 ounce to a gallon. It's the best apple cider vinegar you can buy. I don't buy the generic, I buy this. We buy gallons and gallons and gallons of it, but I highly recommend it, I like it. This, back to 1 teaspoon to a gallon, half a teaspoon to a gallon for the Corid. I run Corid anytime that they're getting water, besides if I have to cure something, this is what they get. They never get just plain water. And the reason being, the foods that we buy, it says, you know what I mean, it has amprolium in it. I call bullshit. I mean, medicated feed, they might as well not even medicate it in my opinion. So I run this at prevention dosage. I don't run it at treatment dose. I run it at prevention dose all the time. Same thing with vitamins and electrolytes. People say, oh, you can vitamin them. My opinion, whatever they don't need, go straight through them. It doesn't hurt them. I mean, what can it hurt? Except give them what they need. Apple cider vinegar, it really, really helps with the Corid to keep the coccidiosis to a minimum so that we don't have to use this. Now, let's say that, like, I don't know if anybody, in Alabama right now, we've had torrential downpours for weeks and weeks, it seems like. I mean, I started building an ark, but I ran out of time. Anyways, when they start looking droopy, you're gonna know, one day you'll go out there, when we open our boxes, how we judge it, when those babies come out, they should just fly out of the box. They could be flying and jumping and this and that. If we go out there in the morning and they're looking droopy, they walk out of the box, they look like crap, what do? First thing we do, this and Florahem, Phosphotrim, or Enrohem. It doesn't matter. I pick one of these 3. You know what I mean? I'll pick it, I run them together. 4 cc's to a gallon, 5 cc's to a gallon for 2 days. Both medicines in the same water. At the end of that 2 days, if those babies do not look better, you better be picking a new antibiotic. Take this one, you know what I mean? Just continue 3 more days and find what antibiotic is curing what's killing them. Because I guarantee you, it's not all, everything's resistant. You know what I mean? Some strains are resistant. So that's when you bounce back and forth. If you give an antibiotic for more than 2 days and it's not working, change up. Because guess what? It's not going to help. All right. Aye. Now, worming. There's 3 things I use. I'm out of Gym Labs. And can you hand me the UVL bottle? I forgot to get that one now. There's 3 things that I worm with. UVL, Despair, I don't know, whatever that says. Hydro. It's got a little pigeon and a chicken on it. I guess you can use it for pigeon. Valbazin. And I also use the Paracetam or whatever from Gym Labs Forte, which is in the water. Everything I do in the water. On babies, because a lot of times the babies will be ranging, and if you feed them, some get it, some don't. So I stick with water normally. Prohibit. Oh yeah. Prohibit. The Gym Labs wormer in this, you can read the direction. They'll send you a little pamphlet. It'll tell you how often, you know what I mean, to do it. I worm every 21 days. We worm the whole farm every 21 days. Some people say it's too much. I don't know. It may be, but that's how I was taught by people that I believe know more than me. So I listen. Prohibit. How we do it is you'll take a gallon of distilled water. You'll dump out a quart. You'll put this in it. So you'll have 3/4 of a gallon of distilled water, a packet of Prohibit. Mix it together. That'll be your stock solution. That'll stay in the fridge. Keep it refrigerated. 7 cc's of that 3 cc's of Valbazen. Valbazen you can get anywhere. Prohibit you can get anywhere. It's easy. Jeffers, your co-op, whatever. Valbazen, I learned the hard way. For the first year or so I was down here, I only used this. Well, I got caught by a thing called blackhead. Blackhead is a bad, bad disease. Unless you take them to the lab, 90% of the time you won't even know you have it. You'll think that coccidiosis is hitting them. They'll be big. I mean, this is normally in March or April, it'll start hitting us. It's when the worms start coming out of the ground. It warms up nice. The babies start eating earthworms. When they eat earthworms, they get cecal worms. Cecal worms cause blackhead, okay? It causes one cell protozoa that causes blackhead. Valbazen, whatever that, albendazole, that's the only shit that will prevent blackhead. If you don't worm with something that takes care of cecal worms, trust me, if you do not want to deal with blackhead, it is a bad, bad deal. I mean, you'll have 3 or 4 month old babies that just literally fall over dead. I mean, you'll go out there, they'll be sick one day, dead the next, sick one day, dead the next. So, I mean, if you don't do it, that's fine, but I'm telling you, God is my witness. Valbazen, I am a fan of yours, okay? Prohibit and Valbazen. I rotate Prohibit and this, which is the UBL you can get from Tony Jr., Herbert Martinez. There's a couple different guys that are really, really honest guys that distribute this. I rotate between this, which Gym Lab offers one too. That's Chewy Arietta on Facebook. Rotate between this and this every 21 days. The only thing that stays the same every 21 days, Valbazen. Thank you. So, Vitaminohim and this, you can use this. I use this a lot with this. Whatever you know what I mean? So, I think we covered it. Anything I didn't? Well, don't turn it off. I think that's everything that I can think of. As for, I know somebody's going to ask about vaccinating for coccidiosis. I know guys that have had real good luck with it. Actually, before I moved to Alabama, I used it for a couple of years. Had really, really good luck with it. In 2016, I moved down here. I had a very, very bad experience with it, and to be honest with you, I'm not game enough to try it again. Bob Ward and George Foster, they do really, really well with it. So, I mean, if it's something you want to use, I can't help you with it because I don't use it. I'm going to probably have to do another video about vaccinations because this is enough for one video. I'm already running out of... Anyways, all right, I'm going to walk you through the brooders, how we do it, and I'll show you the first week. As you can see behind me, I think there's 24, 25 brooders and 6. So we'll start with week 1. Like this group right here. How we do it, these are GQF brooders. You can get them from GQF.com or there's other distributors. I think Woods Enterprises. This is how we do it. For day 1 through 7, the sides stay closed. I think these feeders are about 2 foot long. I buy the papers. These are the GQF papers that are supposed to go in the shit trays. Do not, whatever you do, put shiny side up. Make sure you use rough side up, otherwise you will have a bunch of spraddle-legged babies. I set the temperature between 90 to 95 days 1 through 7. I keep 2 jars in here. These babies just came out of the incubator yesterday. I don't know if you can see many of them, but they're a day old. This is LS50. They'll get this for 7 days. They stay on paper 4 or 5 days. It's going to get nasty in here. In 5 or 6 days, this paper will actually have probably an inch of chick shit in it. I mean, mixed with feed and everything else. It looks gross. I don't really like it. but it's actually good for them to build up a little bit of immunity out of their own crap and shit like that. So as much as you want to keep them super clean that first week, the best idea is to not. Now there's 5 groups of these, okay? And you can see them. Every brooder set up the same way. Now, these are 8 days old. Now you'll see same feeder, but we've added outside water on each side, and they've been switched to vitamin and cord water. You can see right here, there's the jug for it, vitamin, H2O, and cord. These are 8 days old. Let me see if I can catch it for you. I mean, to me, they couldn't look much better. But we keep the feeder in here, and how we start doing it is we'll start letting this run low, forcing them to use the outside feeder. But I don't go straight to an outside feeder and then take this, because, I mean, to be honest with you, baby chicks are stupid. So, same thing with the water. We'll start letting the water run low, forcing them to learn how to eat and drink on the outside. Now there's 6 groups of these. You can see everyone's the exact same. To me, the babies look as good as possible. I mean, I know there's other ways of raising babies. I mean, people have asked me to help do this video and show. Like I said, I don't feel like starting a bunch of drama and fighting and that crap. So if you have a better idea, I'm open to learn. If you want to talk negative, I'll delete and block you. Now, where are we at? These are, what would be 8, these are like 15 days old. Okay? Now you can see there's no inside feeder, no outside water. These are completely on the outside system. These are still on vitamin, H2O water, and cord. Okay? At this point, I start using 2 feeders. Because what happens is on the GQF brooders, these babies will line up, especially if you got, I start out, I can put up to 100 babies in here for 3 to 4 weeks, 3 weeks. Well, the problem is they get lined up here. They can't move out. The other ones can't force them. So the best way, if you got more than 30, 40, 50 babies in here, get you a feeder out front, a feeder on the side, and water on the side. Because they won't just hang and fall asleep. A lot of times you come out here and chicks will literally have their head in the feed asleep. I mean, you can see them. All right. Now these babies are on Baytril. They're getting ready to go out. What I call Baytril is one of the antibiotics. I rotate, like I said, between Enrohem, Phosphotrim-Hem, and Florhem. Okay. Now these babies, Tuesday will be going outside. Let me see if I can catch some there. Oh, Grace Day. All right. Picking. It's a whole nother issue. I get 1,000 questions about picking. The couple things that I found that control picking are heat. If it's too hot, they'll go to picking. Too crowded, they'll go to picking. But the main thing is, and I'm gonna, hold on, let me check the light up. This room, can you show them the light bulb in that? Yeah. This whole room is 24 hours a day, it's green LEDs. As you can see, film over here, these babies eating if we could, please. I'll scoot over there so they can see them eating. The babies will eat, and they can eat in it, this and that. If I get, I mean, I've probably got, I don't know, there's right at, I'd say about 2,000 babies in here right now. Maybe a little bit more, maybe less, I don't know. Knock on wood, I don't have any picking. That's not an issue. I don't have any problems, and that's mainly because of the green LEDs. And health. If they go to, let's say you get a group and you haven't had any problems with picking, you got your lights right, you got your heat right, now they go to picking. 95% of the time, that's a sign of health problems. The healthier they are, the less they will pick, okay? If they start getting sick, they start getting coccidiosis in here, they will go to picking, boys, trust me. Health and picking is a big, big thing. I mean, the healthier they are, the less they pick. That's what I found. Let me turn the lights on. How we do it, I'm trying to think of little things we do that we don't even think about, you know, but it could be a big help to somebody. On these GQF incubators, every week, like let's say this group here is our first week. Well, when these move, when that group's going outside, we pull those GQF brooders apart. Literally in 2 minutes, you can pull the whole thing. The front glass, the floor comes out, the sides come out. We take those in a horse tank with bleach water. We disinfect them, we clean them, we wipe them off the best we can, and then we put them back. And that's, when those go outside, those 6 brooders will get disinfected. Then we move these, well, it'll be those babies, because that's the next oldest group. Those will go there. Same thing, we put those in the water, we let them sit, and we clean them. We disinfect every step. Before babies go back in the brooder, we disinfect. You go through a lot of bleach, but it's definitely worth it. So, I mean, you think anything else? Little tricks or tips?
No, the disinfecting was the biggest thing. Disinfecting the waters and feeders too, also.
Yeah, I mean, every time when this group goes outside, those waters and feeders get dumped. They get disinfected with the sides. Same thing. They move on. Those get disinfected. Every step, every week, we got a lot of disinfecting that happens. But you look, I mean, you can see the floors in here, like these brooders. They're dirty, but they're not that bad. This is 3 or 4 days worth of, you know what I mean, them living in here, because they were disinfected, I think, 2 or 3 days ago. Look at this guy. But, I mean, it's all about health, guys. If you don't have healthy babies, it's hard to do anything else in the game. So, and I know I've had a ton of heartaches. I think I've had anxiety attacks over baby chicks. I mean, you name it, I've messed it up. I've lost sleep. I probably cried over them and everything else. So if I can help, and that's all this is doing, is trying to help. So get in contact with, like I said, there's some good distributors. You've got Chewy Arietta, he's a distributor in the States for Gym Labs. You've got UVL, which is Tony Jr. and Herbert Martinez. And you've got Rick Hurst. Rick Hurst sells a lot of Filipino products. And the LS50. So you can contact those guys and they can get you straightened out. I mean, this is just what I use. So I hope it helps. And if all works out, I get time, I'll try to get a vaccine video. I promised this video to a lot of guys 2 months ago, a month ago. And it's been raining, and honestly, we took the day off and took a half hour to do this. So I appreciate it. Hope it helps. Have a good one, guys.